Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Flexport Podcast. It's your boy Ankur Garg. Today we have someone real special with us. It's a guy that's been in my orbit for over a decade. Didn't even realize how special this man was to my success in my career. Guys, it's my pleasure to introduce you guys to Dinesh. What's up, man?
Thanks, Ankur. Thanks for having me.
I didn't want to ruin your last name. What's the right way to pronounce your last name?
So the way I pronounce it is Venkataswaran.
Okay.
But my colleagues in India make fun of me all the time. It's supposed to be pronounced Venkateshwaran.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Drastic difference.
Drastic, yeah.
I feel like those Netflix shows where like the young kids are talking about how they're getting like trolled all over the internet for how they say their last name. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Oh man.
But I've lived it, for 44 years, so that's okay.
You work at a company called OmniActive, and everyone needs to understand who OmniActive is and why that is a game-changing company located right here in New Jersey, right down the street. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I've been with OmniActive coming on 10 years. And what attracted me about OmniActive was, natural ingredients and then anchored in science. I want to say in the past 5 years, we've completed over 40 clinicals, human clinicals, published them in peer-reviewed journals. I mean, you don't find that in our industry too often, companies that invest in the science as we have. So that's what's attracted me and kept me at OmniActive for this many years. And the company's coming on a little over 15 years old. It was started by 4 founders, led by our main founder, Sanjay Mariwala. And his Mariwala means black pepper in Gujarati.
Oh, okay.
So his family has been in the spice industry since the 1860s, Abraham Lincoln days, right?
Okay.
So they started there. They realized with Haren Doshi, another founder, I can extract some of these phytonutrients from these spices and these natural ingredients that are grown in India, invest in science, and kind of solve some white space opportunities in the market.
In the 1860s?
And not in the 1860s. So the 1860s, they were just focused on spices and black pepper, curcumin, and so forth. Back in the 70s, they were the first company to actually extract curcumin from turmeric.
Okay.
And then in the last 15 years, we've been focusing on marigolds, lutein, zeaxanthin for eye health and now brain health. So that's kind of the evolution of the company: spice, botanicals, and now the phytonutrients that are coming from those natural sources.
Okay, so to lay people that are out there, they don't have the background that you and I have. Essentially, OmniActive creates raw ingredients that get used in nutraceuticals. Nutraceuticals being dietary supplements, capsule products, tablet products, powder products, and the like.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you guys specialize in taking stuff that the family business has kind of been creating for over 100 years, and then you guys have done 40 clinical trials?
In the last 5 years. So before that, it was, I would say we're close to 50 clinicals altogether, all in, which is...
that is wild.
Which is crazy that I have this amount of information to share with our consumers, share with the market, and always something new to bring to the table.
So let's talk through that. So a clinical trial could be 50 people or it could be 5,000 people. What does that really mean when you say you guys have done 50 clinical trials?
Sure. So you don't just jump into a clinical study, a human clinical study. I mean, these are 6-figure, 7-figure investments. And you always want to do it with reputable CROs. Those are custom research organizations, or you want to do it with academic institutions. We worked with University of Georgia, Texas Christian University, and alike. So before you do any of that work, you want to do a lot of preclinical work. So that could be in vitro, in vivo testing, which is basically in a petri dish, and you're just trying to look for markers and seeing if
It's like, hey, little petri dish, here's some protein. Are you going to grow some muscle?
Something to that effect, you know.
All right.
maybe not grow muscle, but like look for some markers that indicate maybe muscle performance or something to that effect. So we do a lot of preclinical work, and then only then after we do that, we'll start doing some pilot scale work. So that's where we'll do maybe 10 subjects or something, just to kind of show that this is truly showing the benefit that we want to do before we invest in a full-fledged human clinical study.
But like, how many people on average are you guys putting into these trials?
So that's an excellent question. I mean, what you want to have enough people to make it statistically powerful, the results that are statistically powerful. So if you have too few clinicals, too few subjects, it's not going to be significant. If you have a lot, then there's a cost associated with that, right? And there's a time associated with that. So for us, we always choose the number of subjects to make sure that we get clinical significance and make it a highly powered study. And
50 clinical trials for how many different ingredients?
So the portfolio today is about 10 ingredients. So our main catalyst is that the LuteMax 2020. That's where we have the majority of our clinicals, probably 10 clinicals published today.
So like carrot juice or LuteMax 2020.
Well, that's a fallacy. When people think about eye health and
Stop
food,
it. My grandparents are rolling in their graves right now. What do you mean carrot juice doesn't improve eye health?
So carrots are a source of vitamin A, and no doubt vitamin A plays a role in eye health, right, and overall health. But really, when it comes to eye health, the ingredients that have been clinically shown to be beneficial are lutein, zeaxanthin. These are the macular carotenoids. Also, vitamin E, vitamin C, and some minerals like copper and zinc.
All right, listen, all the kids at home that don't want to be eating the carrots and their parents are saying, eat the carrots for your eye health, it's all fake. It's not what solves anything.
Yeah. It's incomplete. It's incomplete nutrition.
Man. This is about to go viral for sure. Okay, so let's tell people like how you and I know each other, and then the history that I have with OmniActive, because that's probably really interesting and people want to hear about that. So, I had this little supplement company called Shreds, and I was involved during like the nascent years of influencer marketing and everything that happened. And the key product in the product line was Shreds.
Sure.
And so for the people at home that don't know this, Shreds had a fat burner product, which had all these thermogenic properties. And in order to make claims on the supplement product, we had to use ingredients that would give us access to clinical trials and the ability to make claims that would then go into what quality would call a substantiation binder. And then there was stuff that we were allowed to say or not say, right? Mm-hmm. We couldn't say that take Shreds and you're going to lose 30 pounds, right? Because that's ridiculous, first of all, because there's no magic pill like that. And then more importantly, the claims that we want to make have to have scientific backing, like the clinical trials that we just talked about. So Shreds use an ingredient called CapsiMax, which we were introduced to by one of our manufacturers. And, still a great friend, the guy behind that manufacturing plant. And clearly he knew OmniActive. And the introduction that he made to us was without being like, hey, you need to meet Dinesh, because Dinesh is going to tell you why CapsiMax is so amazing. You guys educated our manufacturers. They educated us on this ingredient. And they're like, hey, if we put this in the product, people at home, you can now make XYZ claims. And then we moved a lot of product of this fat burner. I think we used to have this internal quote that we have bundled products and then we have the individual fat burner. But our individual fat burner was outselling every other product like 40-1.
Sure.
And then our bundled products were outselling the individual products like another 20-1. And I mean, the POs we were putting at that time were like blanket POs, 100,000, 200,000 bottles of just this one SKU that had CapsiMax in it. So little did I know that Dinesh is part of the team that is literally creating the magic ingredient that is being introduced to millions of consumers all around the world making me a crazy amount of buku bucks as I'm building the company called Shreds. And we meet 7 years later from when we introduced that ingredient to our product, waiting for coffee at an expo, just being like, you look really familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. And this was like months ago, like a handful of months ago. And then I find out he works at OmniActive, and I'm like, yeah, tell me the ingredients because I'm building a new supplement line. And he starts dropping CapsiMax. I'm like, I think I put that in Shreds. And he's like, yeah, you did. And I'm just like, oh, snap, you know who I am. Oh, snap, I know who you are. Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's a small world.
So in the scheme of things, for my own ego, I need you to tell me this. How big of a customer was Shreds?
So in the scheme of things, Shreds was a very important customer because you helped educate the market about fat burners and CapsiMax. So you brought a lot of credibility to CapsiMax. Fat burners.
Was I in your training guide for new hires?
You were definitely in a book of launches that we would
the case studies.
Yeah, the case studies that we would show.
This little baby fat burner sold like, I don't know, 20,000 bottles before CapsiMax, and then after CapsiMax, we moved like 1 million bottles. Yeah. Okay.
And the reality too is, you're working with a contract manufacturer. We're working with contract manufacturers. So we're relying on the contract manufacturer to relay our information, and they do a great job. But they're working with so many different ingredients and so many different brands and ingredient suppliers. So they can never do as good of a job as we can do. So ultimately, for us to connect the ingredient supplier and the brand owner, that's the most important thing. That's what gets the story across, in a correct way.
So here's the really, really terrible part. I never got invited to one OmniActive Christmas holiday party, even though I definitely should have been. But let's put this in perspective for some people. So when you're making a product like a fat burner, it's probably gonna be hard for us to talk ratios and fat burners, but let's just talk about it like an ingredient that has what would be a fair assessment, right? It's like, let's say a 2 capsule serving is 1.5 grams of powder.
Okay.
And 30 servings would then be 45 grams of powder. Mm-hmm. That's not a fun number. Let's just say 100 grams of powder going into a product, right? That'll be easy math. Of 100 grams, so let's just assume we're saying 60 servings, right? How much of that 100 grams on average would be CapsiMax in a product that wants to make thermogenic claims, 90 serves, or 60 servings and all of that?
Well, Ankur, before I answer that question, I just want to go back to the party. You will be on the next OmniActive party. We have thrown some legendary parties.
Babe, you heard that? We're getting invited. I get a +1, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. Sonya's ready to come to the party. It's going to be great. As long as it's co-hosted by What the Subs. Those guys make sure that all parties are fun.
Oh, yeah. No. They do throw fun parties, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, the efficacious dose for CapsiMax is only 100 milligrams. Right? Per serving.
So we're in a 60 serve, it's 600 milligrams, which is 0.6 grams.
Correct.
So in a 100-gram bottle or 45-gram bottle, whatever we're going to talk about it, that is such a small amount of CapsiMax. So how do you sell an ingredient like that? What size quantity does a manufacturer have to order?
So that's a big selling point for CapsiMax is the small inclusion point, right? So it gives it that application flexibility. If you want to put it into a small capsule, it works. If you want to put it into a ready to mix powder, it works, right? Because that small inclusion point, it also means low cost in use as well. So that was super vital for us. But
low cost in use. Man,
low cost in use.
That's not the way the manufacturer introduced it to me back then. I remember we were in a meeting. He's like, listen, if you pay 40 cents more a bottle, we cannot make these claims. I'm like, I'm making those claims anyway. He's like, not properly.
I know.
And so I'm like, oh man, oh no. So we got to pay this extra 40 cents. But that makes a big difference in margin. trademarked ingredients are always going to cost more, but they come with all these other benefits.
They come with the science, they come with the safety, they come with like all
Invitations
this,
to the Christmas party, all of it. Yeah, yeah.
the substantiation, all of it. So, but you're right. You know, I mean, we'll get to that point eventually. But you know, we know we have to improve the value proposition at all times. You know, consumers are always looking where they could save money and so forth. And I think CapsiMax is ripe for that. So we are looking to innovate our way into cost savings, more cost savings. The manufacturing of CapsiMax, it's we're dealing with a very pungent herb, right? Red hot chili peppers, right?
Yeah.
And
Don't tell everyone the secret sauce behind shreds. Come on, man.
And
this you got a bunch of like garage supplement owners right now that are like, oh, let's go get all the red chili peppers we can, crush it up.
Well, you have to be careful because I mean it causes gastric irritation, right? You eat too much hot food, you're going to have burning in your mouth, burning in your stomach.
Don't tell our Indian family members about this. No. There's no hope in Vindaloo, man. I don't know what they put in Vindaloo that makes it destroy the inner lining of my gut, but it's insane.
But you do feel warm afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So
that's one emotion or one thermogenic effect of
that's
of
the thermogenic how it's
sure.
working.
I mean, if we can put Vindaloo in an ingredient that CapsiMax sells, I could definitely put it in a fat burner product for us. We just call it Diablo, right? Like Desi Diablo would be the name of the supplement. So I think I'd be doing a disservice to an ingredient company if I don't educate the audience on what it takes to work with a trademarked ingredient.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that you could help me make this math easy for someone to understand. And I think one of the questions that I was trying to get at was like, what is like a minimum amount of specialized trademarked ingredient that you have to buy? Because I think brand owners right now, it's sad when you go to a manufacturer and you're like, hey, I want to make so-and-so product. And the manufacturer's like, well, you got to order 2,000 bottles for it to be worth our time to do it. Most brand owners don't understand the process of cleaning the machines has a cost associated with it. The margin that the manufacturer needs has like a certain price point where it makes sense with the overhead for the rent, the electricity, the terms that they have with their ingredient supplier, so on and so forth. But then sometimes to get a trademarked ingredient, your MOQ, which is your minimum order quantity, jumps up to maybe 10,000 units. And what I try to teach people when I'm working with them in brand development and product development is that like you're not trying to create a product for one batch. You're trying to create a product for an entire year and get an understanding of like, hey, this is our go-to-market strategy. This is how making these claims is going to increase our conversion. And I just feel like not enough people understand the strength that comes behind having a trademarked ingredient. And I want to like reverse engineer that for people so that people can understand like OmniActive changes the game when a brand tries to utilize the power that's behind it.
Yeah, we have to give flexibility to the brand owners, right? Brand owners starting out, for them to commit, 10,000 bottles up front. It's when they don't know if this is going to be successful or not. It takes a lot of working capital, right? And would they rather spend that working capital helping market and grow their company, or putting it into a product just to fill the MOQ? So I think that's a constant battle, right? I mean, the lowest MOQs that I'm seeing in the market for solid dose are coming around 5,000 bottles, which is still high, but it's like you said, all these costs associated with cleaning and
let's explain
and
that to some people. So if someone put just LuteMax in a capsule, you're looking at like 5,000 units might cover the all-in-all cost of the ingredient that the manufacturer has to buy from the ingredient supplier and then put into the machine with considering like shrink, loss of ingredient throughout the process of making it and so on and so forth. So let's talk about some incredible claims that people could make with trademarked ingredients. People just don't understand the difference, right? It's like you look at Equate over at Walmart and like they might have some really basic run-of-the-mill stuff that like most likely came from China, right? Like how else is Equate selling something for that cheap, right? It's just run-of-the-mill ingredients wherever they're getting it from. But then you look at branded companies that are selling similar products, but now all of a sudden when you turn to the back and you see the supplement panel and you see a trademarked ingredient, powered by OmniActive's CapsiMax or LuteMax 2020, or I mean, I think CapsiMax has a new version of it now, right?
Yeah, we're launching a new version called CapsiMax Next.
Okay, so let's talk about CapsiMax next.
Yeah.
Like, just because CapsiMax is a thing
Yeah.
that's in my past, what are the types of claims that brand owners could make with the help of a trademarked ingredient?
Yeah. So, the weight management category specifically in sports nutrition is pretty litigious, right?
Right.
The FTC is
Dinesh, I love it when you drop big words.
they're constantly looking at this space, and you better be able to back up the claims that you're making. Something as simple as burns 100 more calories. You better have the studies to back it up, and sometimes even multiple studies to back it up. So that's exactly what CapsiMax and CapsiMax Next are bringing to the table, right? We invest in these studies. One was done at Arizona State University, where
Not just a party school. They also have legit scientists.
They have legit scientists,
Okay.
that can measure your metabolic rate, and they wanted to test validate a machine that tests metabolic rate. So
I'm imagining Ivan Drago, with like 30 different wires associated to him, right? And like OmniActive's like, run, boy, run. Let's see what happens to your metabolic rate throughout this process.
well, maybe not Ivan Drago, but
Okay, probably didn't go down that way. But okay, so you're measuring what happens to these people as they take this product and this ingredient, and it's all measured and it's all quantified. And then in the end, there's like these amazing claims that you could say that if this ingredient is taken in what's called an efficacious dose. Right? Let's explain that for a second. Some people don't understand that at home either.
So an efficacious dose is what's been clinically shown in the studies, right? Oftentimes, people are looking for, the halo effect. CapsiMax is well known, Shreds and other brands have used it. Let me put in CapsiMax, maybe to hit a price point, they sprinkle it in.
What does that mean, sprinkle it in?
Sprinkling is using less than an efficacious dose. So the efficacious dose for CapsiMax was 100 milligrams, right? They may only put 50 milligrams.
Interesting.
It's all to achieve a certain price point, but also to deliver on the halo benefits that CapsiMax delivers on. But the challenge is, right, if you're making claims on a less than efficacious dose, and God forbid someone knocks on your door and says, how do you substantiate it? Well, you don't have the science to back it up. So
you can't substantiate it, pretty much.
And that's why it's so important for the brand to speak to the ingredient suppliers, because that communication sometimes gets lost through manufacturing, right?
Whoa, so we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
How do you, as an ingredient supplier, police a brand not doing the right thing? Because, I mean, the name CapsiMax is on the line at that point, right? Consumers find out that Shreds is saying that you can do this, but now the next brand, let's just call it Shreds Copycat, tries to copy a similar version of the formula, but they take the cheap route. Right? They're not putting the 100 milligrams. How does CapsiMax get protected?
So we have a trademark agreement, right? So that ensures that that CapsiMax is represented correctly on your label.
Oh, so the manufacturers sign an agreement, and you hold them responsible that they won't make a product that doesn't meet efficacious doses?
Yeah, it's a legal agreement where we we want to make sure that CapsiMax is represented correctly. It's not claimed to be treating, preventing, curing anything untoward.
Spill the tea. Have you ever had to say no to a brand?
Of course.
Oh man.
Of course, yeah. And we want to protect our brand equity. So it's brands appreciate that. At the end of the day, they do because oftentimes there's just so much information out there. They aren't educated. They didn't know. So when you're helping educate them and ultimately protecting them, they're really excited about that. Now we have to work with them because there may be a price point that they were hoping to hit, and now by using an efficacious dose, that
brand owners, stop being cheap. Okay, this is coming from Ankur Garg. Stop being cheap. Dinesh doesn't say that. Dinesh is going to find a way to make it work for you.
We need to improve the value proposition at all times. That's what. Let's work together on that.
So talk to me about your history and your career, and like how did you end up at OmniActive? Because I feel like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're on social media, but it's very hard to find out all this information about you.
Yeah, I think like being an Indian, I joke about this, but there's some truth to it, right? I had two choices going into college: become a doctor, become an engineer. So I chose the latter. Made my parents very happy.
Oh
And,
wow, your parents must love you.
yeah, no.
I did not follow the path that I was supposed to follow. I had a third route: computer engineer,
Oh,
or computer programmer, or whatever it
that's
was.
it.
Right?
Yeah,
So then
I'm a little bit older than you, so
Oh, back then there was no,
no,
what do you call trailblazers?
no,
To,
they just kept it simple: doctor, engineer.
do you have any siblings?
I do. I have two younger brothers.
Oh, you're the oldest.
I'm the
You
oldest.
have to be the trailblazer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, continue.
So I ended up getting a job at a chemical company, and the chemical industry sells a lot of excipients that are used in pharma, that are used in nutraceuticals. So that exposed me into nutrition, and that put me in the path of where I am today. And I'm just so grateful to be in this industry because there's a lot of cutting edge science that's happening in nutrition.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
and-
You look at functional foods and things that are happening. You look at, beadlet technology. It's unreal.
It's
right?
unreal, exactly. And people are just so passionate about what they put in their bodies, and so you start feeding off of that, and that's what's allowed me to stay in this industry and grow in this industry. And like you said, 7 years ago, we'd started working, but we didn't know it. And then we reconnected. It's a small industry. It's a small world. And that's the beautiful thing about this industry. Just passionate people working within it.
It's awesome, man. So, I mean, a company as big as OmniActive, so in terms of like bragging rights, would you have like a count of how many brands have used OmniActive ingredients?
Oh, it's we've been very blessed that way. We're very fortunate to work with some of the biggest brands in the U.S. and across the world. A lot of the CPG brands that you see, the Unilever brands, the Church and Dwight brands,
Okay.
Sanofi brands. We are very fortunate, but because they value the science, they value what we're doing.
So you're in the high
market.
4 or 5 digits of different types of products that your ingredients are in.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, we've been very, very fortunate.
Dang, I didn't even realize how big of an opportunity that was for us when we were introduced to that ingredient. And I mean, dude, OmniActive changed my life without me even knowing it.
I think a challenge within the sports nutrition weight management field is, everyone is kind of looking for what's next, right? What's new, what's exciting. And something like a CapsiMax, which has solid science and has been at this point clinically proven, it becomes thought of as a old stodgy ingredient, and that's on us from a marketing standpoint to reinvigorate that story, to keep telling that story in a new way, new fresh way, and that's what we're trying to do. Whether it's now this new innovation with CapsiMax Next, whether it's taking advantage of some of the trends that are happening, intermittent fasting. Well, guess what? CapsiMax, curbs your appetite. Why couldn't, we need to be able to tell that story to help our brand partners reinvigorate their brands as well.
So CapsiMax is like the iPhone. Every year there's a new version with new claims and like a better camera and whatever else is going to happen.
I like to think of our ingredients as really like the Pentium chip, right? At the end of the day, it's there. You trust when you see your computer and you see that Pentium chip. It's got quality. It's there.
Damn.
It's going to protect you.
So much older than me. You think people at home know what a Pentium chip is?
Open up your computer. You'll see that little insignia.
Oh,
That's
God.
brand equity.
That means OmniActive is not on MacBooks. They're giving everyone PCs. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, so let's talk about if your company is, what's your role over there?
So my role is I look after business development.
Okay.
So I'm really focused on white space opportunities and in our pipeline. We have this exciting portfolio of 10 ingredients, but we have a really strong pipeline that's coming behind. So We want to be very strategic on who we bring this pipeline to. So we're talking to some of the big players, but we're also talking to some up and coming brands that are quick to market. Are doing podcasts and other social media that OmniActive traditionally hasn't played in before. So it's very strategic how we're doing that. So that's what the business development role is all about.
Okay, so for OmniActive and what it's doing, I mean, you guys have always been in New Jersey?
We're an Indian-based company, right? So globally, our headquarters is in Mumbai.
Okay. Because the best ingredients come from India, right? Snapple told me so back in the day.
India has a rich tradition of pharma and nutrition and so forth, and we're vertically integrated, right?
Bro, Christopher Columbus told everyone, "I'm gonna go find India so we can get the best ingredients. I'm gonna raise all this money," and never even made it to India. Didn't even actually stepped his foot in America and gets all this credit, right? The Indian ingredients are amazing.
I'm happy to be selling for an Indian company.
Okay, all right. So, I was saying, have you guys always been in New Jersey?
Yeah. So our the global sales and marketing offices are in New Jersey, right? This is by far the biggest market in the world, right? And for OmniActive, it's about 70% of our market is in the U.S. alone. So it makes sense for our global sales and marketing offices to be here.
So in terms of like educating consumers, I mean, I invited you down to the show because I feel like not enough people know who OmniActive is.
Sure.
The role OmniActive played in my career, the role it's about to play in a bunch of new brands and things that I'm going to start, talking about and introducing to my audience. But I feel like if you're educating your potential customer base and you're attending these expos, how we reunited in a coffee line, what else is OmniActive doing to kind of get the word out there?
So we need to do our part. We need to, this consumer education. We can't solely rely on partner brands. I mean, no one's going to do it better than a partner brand. It's a call to action. They'll always have the reach that we won't have, but we could do our part. So we've started some education campaigns like lutein for every age. It's a campaign to educate consumers about taking lutein and zeaxanthin, these macular carotenoids, early and often. So we have a website now, luteinforeveryage.com, and on that website,
AKA carrotsdon'twork.com.
Carrots are a small part of what you need to take.
Okay. Right.
If you're gonna eat something, eat broccoli.
Listen, man, I'm so disillusioned right now over this carrot nonsense. Okay, wait. Let's wait 1 second. Let's flex a little bit. You said there's 10 ingredients.
Yeah.
Break it all down. What are these 10 ingredients? What are these ingredients? What are they like famous for?
So we rather than focusing on the ingredients, we really want to focus on like kind of health categories.
Okay.
So for us, eye health, brain health, that mental wellness, everything above the neck. That's a category in itself. And so that's a big play for us, and that's where some of our most cutting edge science is happening these days. Is that eye brain connection, brain and mental wellness connection, and so forth. Another big area for us is the weight management, sports nutrition.
I've heard of it.
So that's a big area for us. Some other areas that are really that we just launched in the last year are sleep, and we saw an amazing opportunity for a non-melatonin natural sleep solution. People don't know
warm milk. Right? That's what our grandparents used to give us.
There are products that are milk-based that help with sleep, but we wanted to focus on.
Oh man, Dinesh, I was so afraid you were going to say warm milk doesn't work either. Because it definitely worked. It definitely put me to sleep as a child.
No, Natrol has launched a new product with Lactium, which is kind of working off that principle. Okay. But it's got a milk allergy and label that you need to put on, and our focus is always going to be botanical based, right?
Okay, so does OmniActive have to worry about allergen claims for like the big allergy stuff?
Yeah, that's a huge plus for us. We don't have to worry about allergens. We certainly provide allergen certificates on all our ingredients. So
brand owners, that's 8 icons you could put on your labels. I can tell you which 8 icons, but you should hire me first. That's awesome. So no, the big allergy warning items you don't have to worry about.
Definitely.
I think it's like no allergens is big number 8, and that's like the official icon and all of that.
Yeah, they're starting to add even more allergens now, sesame and so forth. So, fortunately, we don't play in any of those areas. So,
man, that's awesome. So because it's botanical and because of all the direction of where the ingredients are coming from and all that. All right, so let's talk about how many chilies does it take? To make 1 gram of CapsiMax.
Yeah, so that 100 milligrams of CapsiMax is delivering enough red hot chili pepper, if you will, for like 10 grams of chili pepper, which is a lot of chili pepper.
Okay, so
it's a lot.
Our audience is American, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to understand the metrics.
I know. I wish I'd done the math. 10 grams is probably equivalent to like.
I'm going to Google this right now.
Yeah.
How many grams of chili peppers can we get in 10 grams?
I want to say it's probably like at least 10.
How many chili peppers are in 10 grams?
It's like over 10 chili peppers, 10 whole chili peppers that you're eating.
14.
Yeah.
14 chili peppers.
Yeah. So just imagine that. You're eating 14 red hot chili peppers. And the beautiful thing about CapsiMax is that beadlet technology that we're talking about, this amazing technology and amazing science that's happening in our industry. Our technology doesn't release the red hot chili peppers in your mouth, doesn't release in the stomach, and releases in the lower intestines where there's no nerves, no sensitivities. So you get all the benefits without the burn. You know, that's amazing. That's what makes this product so special.
And we mentioned LuteMax.
Yeah.
What's that made from?
So LuteMax is made from marigolds, right? So marigolds are that bright yellow flower, and that's what gives that flower that bright yellow look. So we extract the lutein and the zeaxanthin from the marigold flowers.
Okay.
We're completely vertically integrated with that. So we have this network of 10,000 farmers in India, in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. These are 2 states in southern India. So these 10,000 farmers are growing marigolds for us all year round.
What's the efficacious dose on that guy?
So the efficacious doses, we've studied three separate doses: 6 milligrams lutein, 10 milligrams lutein, and 20 milligrams lutein. And each of those doses were chosen for a reason, right? So 6 milligrams, if you were to eat the recommended servings of fruits and vegetables by the American Dietetic Association, you would get around 6 milligrams of lutein. But who's eating 9 servings?
About the pyramid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's eating 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day? You know, and
I mean, not us.
Not
maybe in gummies, but right, Welch's and like whatever premium packets.
So, okay.
I don't know how many gummies that would require, but okay. I mean, I'm not eating.
Hopefully, we're not going to
servings.
Google that.
Okay, yeah, we're not.
But so we've studied that. If you ate the bare minimum, 10 milligrams lutein is, it's well established. National Institute of Health has done research on that dose, so we wanted to copy that dose and see our clinically efficaciousness at that dose. And then really where the science is going is really higher doses, 20 milligrams and even higher. And that's where the majority of our science is today. And we're seeing some amazing benefits, whether it's cognitive health with memory, learning, processing speed, also stress and well-being, cortisol levels going down. So this is all amazing science it's happening in the last 5 years, and OmniActive is leading the way.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we dropped LuteMax, we dropped CapsiMax. I mean, what other keywords could we drop on this podcast?
No. I'm glad you asked that, because I think one area that's really exciting is sleep, and especially non-melatonin sleep. People don't realize melatonin is a hormone. It's synthetic. It's not to be taken for long periods of time. And now we're seeing melatonin everywhere, higher doses. We're seeing them giving them to kids. So we don't know the long-term effects of this. And so people are looking for alternatives. And we have a new product that we just launched called Sleep Root. And Sleep Root is a valerian extract. So valerian is is commonly known to help with sleep quality. And we've just published a clinical that 3 independent ways of testing it, whether it's some questionnaires, standardized, validated questionnaires, but also the wrist actigraphy, right? The wearable, right? You wear the Apple Watch. It'll tell you that you're falling asleep 15 minutes faster. You're staying asleep 15 minutes longer. And then we went all out, took these subjects to the sleep lab, polysomnography. They got the sensors all over you. They can measure REM sleep and everything. And all 3 of those independent tests were all confirming the same thing. Sleep-Root helps you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, wake up feeling refreshed. So we're really, really excited about this because I think this is the next frontier for nutrition, right? You got to have the science, you got to have the claims, you got to have the application flexibility to get it into gummies and beverages and everything. The low input, so it works from a cost and use and so forth. But it's also got to be acutely experiential. Like if you can feel it quickly, you're just going to believe in the product and keep taking it. And that's where OmniActive's direction is going. We're going into acutely experiential products that you could feel quickly.
Is that like a new category for ingredient suppliers at the very least?
I'm starting to see more and more people talk about it. Companies like a KSM 66 with ashwagandha, they've done a great job talking about how quickly ashwagandha is working from an adaptogenic point of view.
What I always think about when I think of KSM?
Yeah.
I don't even know that they make ashwagandha. All I know is what their logo looks like.
Sure.
Because I see it as
they've
the
done a
title
great job
sponsor
marketing
of everything given in this industry, right? Every single show I can think of, their logo is huge. I feel like they need to change the logo.
Yeah, I've heard other things about KSM, the logo that they've been referred to, but I'll keep it PC.
I'm just gonna say that it's one of those confusing scenarios that I just didn't know what it was. Right, I didn't know what OmniActive was until much later, but I knew what the ingredients were because, you're choosing to name your ingredient Sleep-Root, right? And right there, and as a marketing guy, I could say that's smart.
Beautiful,
right? Valerian root, Sleep-Root, it all kind of makes sense. When I was at STC Nutrition for a bit, when you hear the name STC Nutrition, you might think it's a supplement company. You're not really sure what it is. So we trademarked the slogan, we make supplements. Everyone just understands immediately. Sure. That was the name of the podcast that we had and kind of started the whole podcast journey for me. But I just bring that up because, saying an ingredient and the direction you're making it is more like the experiential route, right? It makes sense to brand owners.
Yeah.
Because when our customers feel it, that's when we know that people are going to want to rebuy and talk about it and leave positive reviews. It's when you do things that are like nootropics, where you don't feel it for 30 days.
Exactly.
And people just sometimes don't come back for the next month. It's the worst.
It's something where, we've really taken it to heart and we really want to make it acutely experiential. So something like Sleep-Root, the studies within 3 days. And then I've heard enough testimonials now that within the day one, it's starting to work.
You ever slip it to the kids?
Have I slipped to the kids? Not yet, because
to the wife. You just slip me a bottle, and I'll just
Sure.
I'll let you know that testimonial. Right, the husband group will let you know. Don't worry.
I got 4 kids. I need to be taking Sleep-Root.
Fair enough. Okay, so you also mentioned you're in the brain category, right? Brain health and all that. Is any of that experiential?
So the brain health category is it takes a little bit longer to work, right? And that makes sense, right? Because you're building up these nutrients in the brain. They're working on things.
So this is why my grandparents made me do math for so long, because it takes a while for us to catch on to whatever it is they're trying to teach us.
The other thing too is it's how you measure. How can you measure that your memory improved, right? So quickly. Now there are tests, right? I'm learning about this right now because this is where our latest science is. So there is short-term memory, right, where you can measure it. And so we recently have done a children's study on brain health, cognitive health, and there was one test where they had 3 different images, shapes and letters and so forth, and a position on it, and then they showed it to the kids, they take it away, and then they ask the kids to kind of copy that image again. And how quickly you can remember that is kind of an indication of short-term memory. So I guess we are starting to see a little bit of that, but I think but the real benefits, right? At the end of the day, you want to see clinical significance. So it takes a little bit longer with brain health to see that. But brain health is something where people aren't just taking a pill and expecting all of a sudden.
Come on, man, limitless.
I know.
You gotta have that experience, right? What was the ingredient called?
Modafinil.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was.
Oh man, I feel like when you talk about an ingredient supplier as a company, you must have to introduce yourself to like friends and family, and like they must ask like, what does that even mean? How do you explain what you do to like a layman person?
Yeah, I remember at my my wedding, my best man, right? My wife's a pharmacist, so he was explaining it, in his speech to everyone. Like, I make drugs, and Jill, my wife, sells them. so that's kind of stuck where my family thinks I just make drugs and make I'm like, no, we don't make any drugs. We make nutrition. We make nutraceuticals. So more and more people are getting into nutrition. It's getting easier and easier to explain. And they're starting to appreciate the science that's going behind these ingredients, and starting to read up on these ingredients. There's some amazing, look at some of the podcasts, Joe Rogan and so forth. They're all getting into this field and talking about it. So,
Joe's opened the door, right? With his experience with Onnit and talking about Alpha Brain and the different ingredients and the benefits. I've seen at least 8 or 9 different episodes where he's talking about the benefits of other single ingredient studies and things that he's read on. So let's talk about the experience of introducing OmniActive to a manufacturer.
Yeah.
And what are the obstacles that you have to overcome?
Yeah. So a manufacturer is typically, they are dictated by the brand. Okay, the guardrails of what they want, right? I want to produce a fat burner, and the manufacturer may have this list of approved ingredients that they can work with, and they'll put together a formulation and present it to the brand. And if the claims work, if the price point works, the look works, away we go, right? Mm-hmm. Other times, the brand is speaking to the ingredient manufacturer, and it says, "Hey, manufacturer, I want you to use this ingredient. I want you to use CapsiMax," right? And so in that case, then the manufacturer comes to us and has, maybe if they haven't used it already, has to qualify it and so forth, and we'll go through all that work with them. So ultimately, our opportunity is to speak with brand owners, speak with consumers, right? The Lutein for Every Age consumer campaign, putting consumer market insights out there so we can speak directly to consumers, get people excited about CapsiMax, so they go to manufacturers and say, "Hey, we want CapsiMax in our product."
So, what do you think the manufacturer's biggest hurdle is to get over when it's like, "Hey, can I bring an OmniActive ingredient in or not?"
There's so many manufacturers, right? So competition is fierce. Margins are razor thin in a lot of cases. So it's always cost. Why go with the brand ingredient when there could be a generic option right there?
All right, OmniActive marketing team.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give this one for free. We're gonna start white papers of every company who's ever been sued for a thermogenic claim, or for a vision claim, and we're just gonna deliver that to all the manufacturers.
Yeah,
scare them, right? And be like, "Hey, by the way, one of your clients is doing this. We could save them by just putting this ingredient in instead." I can guarantee you it was fear that convinced us to pay the extra 40 cents a unit.
Well, fear is one way. I would rather incentivize brands to do the right thing.
Dinesh, don't do this the right way. Gotta go the sly way. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all brand owners in a Facebook ad segment, and we're just gonna fear monger. Send them ads of "Did you know about this lawsuit? Did you know about this lawsuit?" And then you guys will get all sorts of orders. The marketing team's like feverishly taking notes right now at OmniActive headquarters.
Yeah, we'll talk about this.
Can you imagine what the vertical clip here looks like? This is going to be epic.
Well, look, I mean, when I say incentivize, these are some small things that we're doing, right? So on our microsites, we have a where to buy, and every time we talk about our ingredient, new science comes out, something new, it directs consumers to the where to buy. Our brand partners that are using efficacious doses, calling out our ingredients on their label, they're promoted. It's free marketing for them. We're also trying to generate content with them. We have some KOLs and
so no duffel bags of cash.
No, no duffel bags of cash. No.
That would have definitely convinced me back in the day. There's a duffel bag of cash. No, this idea of joint content, I think, is the next wave, right? I think you're about to get into this area that brand owners don't even know that they can approach the ingredient suppliers to do this, right? And you probably have a media repository that brand owners could use of like icons, charts, graphs, and the like.
Videos, we have a ton of that stuff, and it's there, and it's our opportunity to get it in front of brand owners.
That's awesome, man. So let me ask you this question: as an ingredient supplier, as one of your larger historical customers, are there any questions you have for me?
Yeah, I mean, look, Ankur, we love to hear from you. Like, you're talking to so many different brands. They're coming to you, asking you to help formulate products. What are these brands looking for? What health areas are they focused on today?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I feel like civic awareness is the number one hurdle that brand owners need to have. So many brand owners are like hermits. They're in there like their one little like tunnel vision of like mastering Facebook or mastering TikTok or whatever it is. They don't just go to the expo, walk the floor, make the connections, meet the ingredient suppliers, and become educated when they talk to their manufacturers of like what they should be doing. I can tell you right now, the first 3 years at Shreds, I didn't go to the expos. I mean, I went to the consumer side expos. I didn't go to the manufacturing side expos. And when I started going to those is when I really opened my eyes to like the other side of everything. I think the biggest thing is that I push brand owners to go to supply side, to go to Ingredia, to go to natural products, and to really educate themselves on what the big guys are doing, right? Because the big players, like you just mentioned, Unilever and Sanofi and so on and so forth, they're definitely putting your logo on their bottles. And you have to figure out how to get an edge compared to everyone else.
Yep.
It's this like ridiculous idea of drop shipping when, 3 people are selling the exact same thing in different colors or whatever it is, and they're the exact same claims. No one wins. But the idea of just like making a slight tweak in what they're manufacturing and no longer like doing this drop shipping weirdness, you all of a sudden have an opportunity to have a unique selling proposition, which will actually help you move real inventory, and there's an opportunity to win. And man, I mean, what's the stat? There's 250,000 new companies in CPG every year.
Wow.
That get started, right? I'm taking this off of looking at Amazon and how many new Seller Central accounts get created. I think supply side puts out some stat of like the number of new brands that get created or submissions for like the brand awards and all that kind of stuff. But you don't see 250,000 people walking the floor at some of these shows, and you're like, why not? You know what my favorite show to go to is the Packaging Expo, right? And seeing what people are doing with custom packaging. I mean, the ingredient supplier is one end of that problem for brands, but then if you can really create innovative packaging,
of course, yeah,
it would change the game. I have a friend, John Morin, who did a lot of international distribution. And when you're sending stuff like on a sea freight from America to Dubai or to India or wherever you're sending stuff to, one of the problems is space, right? And the traditional large size bottles of supplements are like these like OG curved bottles with like a round lid or whatever. He custom made bottles that there'd be a lot of this like empty gap in between the bottles and like the way the grid format works. He made bottles that stacked on top of each other in a way that like he reduced empty space by 40 or 50%. and he's able to squeeze in like an extra 40% of product.
Oh man,
That's insane.
Yeah, no.
Right? And no one's thinking of solving those problems. And I mean, that's a fear for me. We're going to get to 2025 a year from now, and there'll be 100,000 more brands in the same space, but none of them are utilizing anything to differentiate, like a unique selling proposition to make their product worthwhile. So, I mean, I challenge ingredient suppliers to go out there and create content and own their social media channels and educate the consumers. And I think you guys are doing some great stuff. I mean, you're here on this podcast, which is awesome, right?
Amazing, yeah.
And it's probably different from what your marketing team is thinking of doing. And the exciting thing for me is, I mean, I wouldn't just do this with any ingredient supplier company, but you guys actually changed the game for me, and no one knows about it, right? Like, I didn't have the opportunity back then, but like now I could do a case study and explain the difference. I could tell people about precedent that was set with case law, with the FTC and with the FDA for certain people that used ingredients that they shouldn't have been doing. If you want to get scared to your bones, call Regimus. Call Brandon Griffin at Regimus. Have one of his guys tell you about all the case law and all the things that happened in the past year where brands got totally screwed because they just didn't know better.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it's happened. It's still a black mark, in our industry that we are constantly fighting. But we're making so much progress now.
As ingredient suppliers, you guys do a great job. I think brand owners are the ones that disappoint me. They're the ones that don't take the craft seriously. And I love the great brand owners, right? When you think about basketball comparisons, right? The guys like LeBron and Kobe that spend the extra hours and like really have that what we call basketball IQ, right? For knowing where every player is on the court and knowing what to do, when to do it, so on and so forth. Or like you look at Travis Kelce knowing to throw that lateral, right, for the play that didn't count. I mean, to have the IQ to make those types of decisions, you have to really respect the industry and the game that you're in. And it's no different with supplements, right? As a brand owner, you have a responsibility in the space of nutraceuticals to really educate yourself and learn what options you have. This is going to make a great vertical clip. Yeah. I just know it right now. But man, it's just, I don't think there's much in terms of like what a brand owner is looking for to answer your question. It's just once they are aware of how ignorant they are in the industry and then they take it upon themselves to educate themselves, I mean, it's almost a guarantee you're going to end up at OmniActive at one point or another if you're in nutraceuticals, right? That's clearly shown in like the 4 or 5 digits numbers of products and SKUs and brands that you guys have worked with. That's a lot of brands, right? It's incredible.
I think you hit a nail on the head when you say, go to these shows, see what the big guys are doing.
Make Dinesh pull out that expense card, right? Find his booth, be like, yo, I want that free coffee that Ankur got, right? Or I want the steak and eggs, or I want the steak and lobster, or whatever. Dinesh won't say no, I promise you.
No. But before we had science, it was all about relationships, right? Yeah. So, and a big part of what Haren and Sanjay had told me was, if you're having fun, your partners will have fun, and business will naturally happen, and that's certainly what I've carried through, and that's what it's all about. And I know what you said, brand owners behaving badly, ingredients doing it. Ingredient players have a part to do too, right? We have to constantly innovate to bring the value proposition. And I keep coming back to CapsiMax, and now CapsiMax Next, and this is what a good company does. It's like, okay, you get presented a problem, cost and use isn't working. Okay, how can we innovate our way into better cost and use? That's what OmniActive is done, and I'm proud to be part of this organization.
It's awesome, man. Dude, thanks for coming down to the podcast studio. I'm glad that we got to introduce this to the audience. Everyone, tune into the next episode where I'll introduce you guys to another influential business here in New Jersey.